from Tandragee, who came all the way as a favour to his father. Towering, so they were, faces coppered and sun-cracked, the old man sparking his hands like shards of flint. Hardly ever smiled, so he did, though his body done all the laughing. They set to work, building with stones gleaming from the earth, washed fresh. They stood the house, then cut sod and upturned it, making flesh for the roof's bones. The men drank and cursed, and sang songs till their slurring was feverish, and they stumbled home to their townlands by dawn light, and the family lay down on straw in front of the open fire, too eager to sleep. He sat and listened to the morning, the murmuring wind and the sound from the stone wall of a fierce, droning fury. He stood and walked over to the sound of it, and bent till he could see a hollow woven with web, dew spittled and argent shining, and his eyes alighted on a fly fighting the entangled clasp of a spider. The buzzing of its wings frantic, and it became more furious still, and its body twitched in trapped frenzy as the spider grappled from above until the life of the fly was spent, but for its palps softly twitching, and then it was still. Coyle bent closer and leaned into it and nudged gently the insect with the tip of his finger, but the life was gone out of it. He walked about the yard and saw the sky sheeted grey, and stood thinking of the two riders that came. An idle saunter towards the top of the hill, and then they had stopped near the end of the track, the loud call of John Fowler. He walked towards them and took off his cap when he saw the other rider was Hamilton, Fowler's smiling eyes, the height of him bearing down on that horse, his words plunging like a knife, Hamilton leering red-eyed, like that was anything new. Should have said something then, should have looked him in the eye, should have dragged him down off that horse. What are you on about? What do you mean we're being evicted? You know we done you no harm, and the woman with child. Pure wrong, so it is. Wouldn't have listened anyway. His fists tensed, and something roiled in him like the white fever of river, until his anger was foaming, and he walked to the yard and pulled an axe grinning from the wood and started walking. He marched down the track from the house, shoulders huge and hunching, the earth dew-kissed, and the coldness of it was numb to his feet, and he wanted to hurl a mountain, to tear at the sky, to rip the earth open with his hands, and he turned sharp and strode to a spot where trees stood huddling. The axe swung in vicious arcs, till a fir splintered and fell, newly ragged, upon the needled floor, and he sat spent, his head wagging, and he had no power to hold back the tears. He wiped his face with his sleeve and walked back up the hill to the house, the shape of his mother crossing the yard, and the cow giving up her milk. He went inside and sat on a stool between the fire and the bed, and looked at his wife, Sarah, eyes sloping off low cheekbones, a face built for sadness. "You were keeping me awake all night with your turning," she said. "You were sleeping. I was awake. Where'd you get to just now?" "I was out cutting." "What was the use of that?" He rose towards the hearth, the fire alive in the rakings, and he blew gently. Ash skittered the surface of fizzing embers, and he raked it and kindled it with moss, which popped and sizzled till flame lapped hungrily. He took flitches of turf and put them on top, and watched the smoke sidle up the gable wall to lie sleepily about the low rafters, and then he put his hand over the flame. The child awoke and climbed out of the bed and went to him. He scooped her into his lap and tidied tangles of hair with his fingers. The child fidgeted, and he put her down again and leaned forward on his elbows with his hands worrying his cheeks. Sarah watched him, his face a forest of dark stubble, and the way shadows pooled his eyes like he was quailing from the light. He saw her and shook his head. The door opened and his mother placed a pail beside the table, and she fixed her shawl and went out again. They ate bracken in wooden bowls to the spit of the fire, silence filling up the room. They each watched him in turn, his eyes upon the floor, and then he lifted his head and